Hello, everybody, and welcome to Forever Sports. Rassie Erasmus has officially announced his first Springbok squad of the season, a 51-man list with 21 uncapped players. Plenty of junior box actually involved in the squad as well. After confirmation that the Stormers will not join the Bulls in the URC Grand Final, the Springboks have officially finalized their first training group of the season, and they will meet in Johannesburg on Monday to begin preparations for the first sort of unofficial test against the Barbarians, as well as the SAA game versus Zimbabwe down in Gqeberha, which will take place on the 20th of June. And a very interesting squad. So call-ups for some youngsters, some recalls for some of the senior players, and also confirmation the likes of an Eben Etzebeth is fit and going to be ready for the season, given the fact that he has been named in the squad. Before we get into it, please do smash a like on the video. Please do subscribe to the channel as well. We knew this was going to be a very large and very weird squad. Let's call a spade, because it's a very unique situation. We cannot call upon players who are based in Europe, for example. We cannot call upon players who are from the Bulls because of club commitments and because this game falls outside the international calendar. And as a result, it's always going to be quite an odd squad. And I think that there was always going to be a young feel to it, with, for example, the fact that we've been getting SN20 stars involved in lineman camps and the likes of that. So this was always going to be an unorthodox squad. And in that regard, not too many surprises in terms of there's always going to be so many surprises that we're not surprised, and how surprised we are, I guess, is probably one of the best ways of putting it. And yeah, I mean, I feel for a couple of players. I think, you know, even with an expanded squad, there's some players who are going to miss out, and you sort of feel for them, because you kind of think, well, if you're not making this kind of squad, then it's really late for you in terms of your Springbok career, because somebody like a Henk van Beek, for example, not cracking nod into this squad is a huge missed opportunity. Now, what doesn't help is the fact that a lot of our centers are available, and it's one of the positions where we haven't had to go too deep into our depth. But, you know, you kind of feel if you're not playing an SAA game versus Zimbabwe or a Springbok game against Barbarians at a time where you can't pick up any Bulls players or a couple of European players, you're pretty far down the pecking order. But let's go through the squad and see what Rassie Erasmus has to say, shall we? So if we look at it, as mentioned, they're going to be gathering on Monday. And the big sort of news as well is the fact that there's confirmation that they will announce the official Springbok squad for the Nations Championship first three legs, the England, Scotland, and Wales game on Sunday, the 21st of June, following the conclusion of the Vodacom URC. In terms of your under-20 players, there's a lot. And I think one of the big names is Yakin Ahmed, who has been phenomenal at fly half potential center as well. He is the next best thing coming through at the Western Province, as far as I'm concerned, as well as Marcus Muller, who has been included. But there's lots of other SC20 under 20 stars. So Donny Kriya has been called up. Luan Goyami has been pulled up. Vusi Moya, I think he's a proper player, by the way. And I think quite ready for international rugby with the way he plays. Oliver Reed, we know, is very highly ranked, as well as Liam van Wyk. And then for players who've also already been involved in expanded camps are the likes of Ryan Norton, Sibisito Inubelele, Marcus Muller, and Zekatelo Siyaya, who has taken to international club rugby and professional rugby like a duck to water, has Siyaya. He's been so impressive for the couple of games that he did get for the Sharks. Then there are other uncapped players in the forms of Paul de Villiers, Batu Bilek-Lakani, Honra Jacobs, Urendra Julius, who gets a recall, Imad Khan, JJ Kotza, Sibabalwe Mahasha, Harshan Pede, Nico Stain, Emmanuel Stuka, and Yako Williams. These players have all kind of been involved in the lineman squads and the likes of that. And also quite cool to see a recall for Vincent Stuka, who had kind of missed sort of some of the groups and likes of that, but is back and involved in the group. In terms of what Rassie Erasmus had to say before we go through the full squad, he said that we named a large group of players as we will be selecting a Springbok and an SAA team for the season opening, a doubleheader in Gqeberha, and this will be beneficial in the long term as we build the squad. Looking forward to next year's Rugby World Cup and beyond. There's also an exciting mix of experienced campaigners and young players in the squad, and this formula has worked well for us in the past to ensure a clear pathway to build depth. Let's go through the squad, shall we? So, in the forwards, it is Loet Diaga, Paul de Villiers, Ben Jason Dixon, Peter Steph the Toy, Eben Etzebeth. That's an interesting person to include because a lot of people were worried that he wasn't going to be fit, and we had a bit of a lock crisis as well. We've got Leo Diago fit, we've got Eben Etzebeth fit. That's a really good lock combination. Neatly Bashir included after another strong season. About to be Letlekani. He gets his first call-up. Honro Jacobs. Vincent Koch gets a bit of a recall. He's kind of fallen away to the wayside in the last couple of years, but he is back and in the mix. Sia Khaleesi, JJ Kotsadani Kriya, Siba Mahashe, Malcolm Marks has been named. He is not playing as top 14 or Pro 14 for the Japanese club is Kapalo Spears this weekend, but he has been included in the squad and will be joining up over there. Instuka Klunu back in the mix after that incredible season that he has had for the Stormers. As I mentioned, Sibasito, Ninabalele, Salman Murat, Franco Mostert, Oxen Chair, Riley Norton, Zachary Porthon, Oliver Reed, Evan Roos, Emmanuel Stuka, Vincent Stuka, Liam van Wyk, Andre Hugo Fenter, Bowen Fenter, and Jasper Visa. Feel a bit for like somebody like a Franco Horn, who I think has had another really strong season for the Lions, but just doesn't fit the mold for the box. You then look at our backs, also some interesting recalls there. Yakin Ahmed, as mentioned. Then you got Lekanya back in the mix. Damien Dealendi. Faf de Klerk gets his recall as well. Andre Esterhazen, Apre Lefasi, Luan Jalumi, Quan Horn. I'm very chuffed to see that. And I think that he could be on for a bit of a breakout season. To be honest, I'm very, very excited to sort of see what he can do. You then got Jurenja Julius, Imad Khan, Cheslin Colby, Jesse Creel, Marnie Liebach, Vusi Moore, Marcus Muller, Hashim Pede, Zikatelo Siyaya, Nico Stein, Edel van der Merwe, Damian Willems, Grant Williams, and Yaku Williams. So your scrum halves, lots of options there. You got Hashim Pede. I mean, how incredible is it from the Lions to have 3 of their scrum halves in the box mix? Morne van den Berg currently injured, but you've got Nico Stein as well as Hashim Pede being called up to the box. Big moment that. I mean, Imad Khan, for example, what a season he's been having. But yeah, I mentioned no Hick van Wyk. Obviously, we wouldn't have known if Richard Creel, David Creel would have been called up, given the fact that the Bulls are playing, but he's somebody that doesn't really seem to be in and around the mix there. So some interesting decisions over here. And I think, it must be quite frustrating being players like a Chris Smith. You have been the top point scorer. You won the Golden Boot, top point scorer in the URC. And you then got players like Yakin Ahmed and Vusi Moyer, for example, under 20 players coming through, getting the inside track. And in many ways, it's what makes Rassie Erasmus so special, is that he's willing to bring these players in from the onset and say, right, this is the level. They're not going to it's easy to bring in a Chris Smith. It's easy to bring in a Franco Horn, or somebody like an Etienne Oosthuizen, a Randolph Knocker from the Lions, for example. If you think about the Sharks, it would be easy to bring in a Maxwell Mapimpi, for example, and the likes of that. Players who have been around the block, a Bongi Manambi. It's easy to bring these kind of players in, but they're basically saying they're not going to waste the time with these players. If they're not in the mix, if they're not going to be sort of players in and around, that they'd rather give the experience, they'd rather give the caps to the next generation. So it's quite a ballsy strategy, to be honest. But that's what he said, though. He said it works. It has worked. And as a result, you can't really fault the process. You can't really argue this is not the right way of doing things because the success is there. So it's going to be very interesting a couple of weeks now. So obviously we will hopefully have some training opportunities to see what's happening next week. We'll hopefully also have some press conferences with Rassie Erasmus when they get up to Johannesburg. And over the next week, we'll also be able to sort of debate what these teams potentially could look like. What could our first Springbok team of the season look like based on this squad? What could our SAA side look like based on this squad? Let me know what your early predictions are down in the comments below. Smash a like on the video, subscribe to the channel. Obviously, we'll break this down a lot in the next few days, but I want to know what your early thoughts are with the squad coming out around midnight on a Saturday evening. Thank you very much for watching. My name is Steve. I'll chat to you soon.